you go to medical school today, you're taught that as people get older, their blood pressure goes up. But we have this idea that as you get older, yes, and we're lucky, right? Because we don't die from smallpox when we're 30. We're lucky to get cancer when we're 60, right? What we've done is we've confused diseases that are more common with aging, with age being a cause of those diseases in the first place. And they're not inevitable diseases. Then in our society, we don't value prevention very much. We may talk about it, but we don't really put our money where our mouth is, right? In the US, which is arguably one of the worst healthcare systems, it is the worst healthcare system among the industrialized Western world, we spend approximately 3% of our budget, our medical budget, on prevention.
Meet Dr. Daniel Lieberman, a Harvard professor and evolutionary biologist who has spent years studying how human movement impacts longevity. His research debunks many exercise myths while revealing powerful secrets to staying youthful and energetic. In today's video, we're breaking down his top longevity insights, including why movement is medicine, the truth about running, and why humans were designed for endurance, not speed. We'll also expose common fitness myths that might be holding you back from optimal health. So without further ado, let's begin with longevity, secret number 1. Movement is medicine.
That loss of activity has enormous effects on every aspect of our body. And our minds. Physical activity is important not just for physical health, but also vital for mental health. And I think a lot of the problems that, a lot of mental health issues we have today, depression, anxiety, some of them, to some extent, we can attribute that to less physical activity. And as people age, becoming less physically active, again, makes them much more vulnerable to a wide suite of diseases.
Moving your body isn't just about staying fit, it's actually a secret to living longer. Research shows that regular movement, even simple activities like walking or stretching, can help prevent diseases, boost brain function, and keep the body strong as we age. A study published in JAMA Network Open found that people who took at least 8,000 steps a day had a 51% lower risk of death compared to those who walked less. Another study from The Lancet reported that just 15 minutes of daily exercise could add up to 3 extra years to your life. Staying active keeps the heart healthy, muscles strong, and even reduces stress, making it one of the easiest and most effective ways to increase longevity. So whether it's walking, dancing, or just stretching, movement truly acts like medicine for a longer, healthier life. But while staying active is essential for longevity, not all movement is created equal. Dr. Daniel Lieberman explains that our bodies evolved to stay strong through consistent physical activity, especially as we age. And when it comes to maintaining muscle mass, bone strength, and overall resilience, one type of exercise stands out the most: strength training. 2. Take strength training seriously.
I would say that I've become more serious about doing some strength training. I've always loved walking and running and, endurance kinds of activities. And I've always sort of hated doing weights. I just don't like it. And I'm a wimp, I'm not a very strong person. And, people tend to do what they like, right? You get reinforcement from it. And the more I study the importance of resistance training and the more I study the importance of doing weights, especially as you age, the more I started kicking myself for being lazy about that. So now I try to do good 2 strength workouts out of every week at least, and take it more seriously. Because especially as you age, loss of muscle mass can be really debilitating. There's the technical term for that is sarcopenia. Sarco is the Greek word for muscle, and penia is loss, so muscle loss. So as people get older, they tend to lose muscle, and when you do that, you become frail and you lose functional capacity.
Strength training works by challenging your muscles through resistance exercises like lifting weights, body weight movements, or resistance bands. As we age, muscle loss naturally occurs, but strength training helps slow this decline, reducing the risk of falls, osteoporosis, and chronic diseases. It also improves insulin sensitivity, lowers inflammation, and supports overall mobility, making it a key factor in staying strong and independent for longer. Dr. Daniel Lieberman emphasizes that strength training is a key factor in living a longer, healthier life. But there is one thing that is more important: Let's see what's coming up next in Dr. Daniel's longevity list. But before we dive in, how does exercise impact your daily life? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might just inspire someone to start their fitness journey. Getting back to the next longevity secret. 3. Prevention is better than cure.
That's what medical students today are taught, right? If you go to medical school today, you are taught that as people get older, their blood pressure goes up. I can tell you that's just not true. It's in the Western world where people are physically inactive and eat crap diets that their blood pressure tends to go up. But there are plenty of people, I'm actually one of them, right, who don't have high blood pressure as they age. And guess what's the best way to prevent getting high blood pressure as you age? It's, I sound like a broken record, but we have this idea that as you get older, yes, and we're lucky, right? Because we don't die from smallpox when we're 30. We're lucky to get cancer when we're 60, right? What we've done is we've confused diseases that are more common with aging with age being a cause of those diseases in the first place. And they're not inevitable diseases. And many of them are preventable. And the problem is that in our society, we don't value prevention very much. We may talk about it, but we don't really put our money where our mouth is, right? In the US, which is arguably one of the worst healthcare systems, it is the worst healthcare system among the industrialized Western world, we spend approximately 3% of our budget, our medical budget, on prevention. And yet when people walk into a doctor's office, 75% of the time the disease is, according to the Center for Disease Control, a preventable disease. So we essentially spend nothing to prevent diseases that overwhelm our system and cause enormous amounts of misery.
Prevention is one of the biggest secrets to longevity because it helps you avoid diseases before they even start. Simple habits like eating nutritious food, staying active, managing stress, and getting regular checkups can reduce the risk of chronic illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. According to the CDC, about 80% of heart disease and strokes are preventable through lifestyle choices. Instead of waiting to treat a problem after it appears, taking care of your health now means living longer and feeling better as you age. The next longevity secret is a true lifesaver and a total game changer, one that countless people swear by. 4. The truth about sugar.
Look, if you want to take like the 3 things you should, if you really care about your health, don't smoke, right? That's kind of obvious. I think everybody knows that. Get some exercise. I don't think you need me to tell you that, right? And cut down on sugar, on foods that are high in sugar and low in fiber, right? That, what we call high glycemic foods. Those are the foods that elevate your blood glucose levels, your insulin levels shoot up. And insulin, the basic function of insulin is what we call an anabolic hormone. Its job is to store energy. Right? Glucose, but also fat.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So what insulin does is to get energy into cells.
Research shows that excessive sugar consumption accelerates aging by promoting oxidative stress, inflammation, and insulin resistance, all of which contribute to chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even neurodegenerative disorders. A study published in Nature Communications found that high glucose levels shorten telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes, which leads to faster cellular aging. Additionally, excessive sugar intake disrupts metabolic health by overloading the liver, increasing fat storage, and impairing mitochondrial function. Reducing sugar not only lowers disease risk, but also improves longevity by preserving cellular health and metabolic balance. Next up on the longevity list, let's not forget to talk about the connection between mind and body. 5. Spirituality and longevity.
But what I really learned from them is that for them, physical activity is spiritual. There's this book, Born to Run, that describes their running and calls them a hidden tribe of super athletes. They're not hidden, and they're not super athletes. And the one thing that the book missed was that the main impetus for the running, they do these famous long distance races, is that it's a form of prayer. It's really very beautiful, and it's a metaphor for life, and it's also an opportunity to bet and sports and all that. It's all wrapped into one, and what I've learned was that this actually used to be almost universal among Native American populations, right? Native American tribes. Everybody had long-distance races and ball games, and they were all had a spiritual element. It's just that they've retained their traditions because they're in a very remote part of Mexico that's essentially inaccessible. We all used to do this. All humans used to do this. And in fact, if you look around the world, every population has this tradition of endurance events.
Spirituality helps people live longer by keeping stress in check, boosting mental well-being, and encouraging healthy habits. Things like prayer, meditation, or simply having faith can calm the mind and lower stress hormones, which helps prevent diseases. Apart from the longevity secrets Dr. Daniel revealed, he debunked an exercise myth. For instance, we all know that a sedentary lifestyle, which involves a lot of sitting, is bad for us. But what does Dr. Daniel have to say about this?
If you want to understand physical activity and exercise, you also have to understand inactivity. And I think one of the biggest myths out there is that you need 8 hours of sleep a night, and that sitting is the new smoking. That basically, if you think about those two different myths, why is it that we're constantly told to sleep more and to sit less? Actually, it seems a little contradictory to me, right? And it turns out that let's take sitting first. So, there are all these slogans like sitting is the new smoking and it's really bad for you. And, every time you sit in your chair, you lose 2 hours of your life and whatever. Turns out that all animals sit, right? My dog sits, cows sit, chickens sit, every animal sits, and hunter-gatherers also sit. In fact, if some of my students actually put sensors on hunter-gatherers, and we're doing some research in farmers as well, but they sit just as much as Westerners. So sitting there's nothing special about about today's life. It's that we sit all day long and don't do anything when we're not sitting, right? So if you, and furthermore, the big difference is not so much how much we sit, but how we sit. So it turns out that people who, if you get up every once in a while, right, interrupted sitting is actually much more healthy than non-interrupted sitting.
Dr. Daniel Lieberman's research shifts the perspective on health and longevity, highlighting the importance of balanced activity, strength training, and preventive care. So instead of blindly following fitness trends, it's crucial to understand how the human body naturally adapts to movement and rest. The key takeaway? Small, consistent habits like regular movement, strength exercises, and mindful lifestyle choices are far more impactful than rigid fitness rules or exaggerated health warnings. What are your thoughts on these longevity insights? Share in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content like this one. And remember, you are what you eat. So nurture your health and make sure to take your daily dose of longevity seed for a vibrant life.